Hey, everybody. It's Sarah Schwab from Content Creation Coach, and I'm here with a special guest today who is actually the most recent guest on the Content Creation Coach podcast. If you haven't checked out the podcast yet, go to contentcreationcoach.com/podcast. I can put that up too, I think. And you'll see Calvin's episode as well as all the other previous episodes. We're up to about 6 so far. So we'd love for you to check it out, find it on your favorite podcasting platform, subscribe, and join our podcast community. So without further ado, let me bring up Calvin Correli and let him introduce himself.
What's up, Sarah? How's it going?
Hey, it's going really great.
It's amazing.
Been a little while since we've chatted, but so Calvin is the creator and founder of Simplero. I've been a Simplero user and supporter for, a long time, since almost near the beginning.
We had our 12th birthday the other day, 2 days ago.
Way.
For real, yeah.
Okay, maybe not that early on. Okay.
It's been a minute.
But yeah, why don't you take a second to tell everybody a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. It's so really, really great to see you again. I started Simplero back 12 years ago because I was an entrepreneur. Basically, I had been my entire life, but I was really bad at it. I was like really terrible. And not just was I kind of bad at the whole entrepreneur thing, I was also really struggling, mentally and emotionally, pretty much in every area of my life. And so that was, led me on this journey of self-discovery and coaching and therapy and body therapy and all of that stuff. And I worked with a spiritual teacher for a while. And basically the combination of all those things, I'm like, oh God, every other entrepreneur I know, they need to learn the same stuff, right? Like, how do you relate to your thoughts, to your feelings? Like, what are you here to do? Your sense of purpose or meaning in life, and being able to be in the present moment and not stuck in the past, regretting stuff, or worrying about the future, or that all of that stuff. And so I was like, I want to teach this. I don't know anything about that. I discovered online courses in 2008. And I was like, this is amazing. I think I can do that. And so I started actually doing online courses and teaching other entrepreneurs about all the things that I had learned. And then, I was like, I think I can do better on the software side of things. And so I started building Simplero. Just, slow and steady wins the race, just it's what it's been like ever since.
Absolutely. So I love that about you. I love your coach, that you're a coach at heart and the things that you're passionate about helping people do in their life. And then you're a programmer, so you built this piece of software. That's what you really do. But somehow along the way, marketing became like a super integral part of all of this. And I actually pulled up an email. So I went through a whole bunch of Calvin's emails before this, which I love. He sends them out every week and you should sign up for them. But I went back, and one of the ones you said, you talked a little bit about your love-hate relationship with marketing, or at least that's how it was for a long period of time. And that at first you kind of avoided it, which caused some problems. And then you decided you really needed to figure this out. Can you fill that story in a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it really has been like a back and forth, codependent abusive relationship or something like that. So, way back in the day, there was this in the tech community, which is kind of where I hung out, right? There's this distrust of anything business, sales, marketing, right? Like, we're engineers, we're craftspeople, we're good people, and like these marketers and salespeople and whatnot, they're like, and business people, they're finance people. Oh, don't get me started, right? Like, they're bad people. So like really distrust. So the whole like discovering online courses and online marketing, dude, my dudette, I guess, my like, I was like, everything, all my instincts were like, this is a scam, this is bad, this is terrible. But I decided to overcome my those feelings and be like, all right, let me just go buy this course and see what it's about. And I learned so much. It was about much more than just the marketing. It was really about like the mental game and the mindset and so much more than that. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I got really deep into that online marketing world, online courses, and I loved it. I was super pumped about it.
Yeah.
Started teaching it to others. But then what happened was that I started to meet some of these people, and it turned out that they were kind of like, let's put it, say they had some integrity issues. Some of these people had some integrity issues. Not everybody,
Okay.
obviously, but some of them had some integrity issues where they would like say whatever to make the sale and have zero intentions of actually honoring their word. And that just struck me like really the wrong way. I'm
Yeah.
like, ugh, I can't, no. And so I basically abandoned that whole marketing world and marketing community for pretty much a decade, where I just went back to my two first loves, which is product, building the best piece of software I possibly can, and service, customer service, like really taking good care of people, right? And as you probably know, is that one of the number one things that people rave about with Simplero is the product and the customer service.
course,
And so
right.
it wasn't until fairly recently that I was like, okay, let's get back in the marketing game. It's like 2 years ago, two years and change ago, you know, a series of events got me to be like, okay, I need to start taking this seriously. And you can do it with integrity, right? Like, duh, of course you can. Like, I mean,
Not only can you, you absolutely need to, but go
right.
ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But somehow I was like, I was being kind of immature about it. I was like, oh no, like instead of just staying in and just being like, that's great, let me learn everything and like do it my way, right? But I didn't do that. So yeah, so here we are, and then it's been a journey for me of then figuring out, well, how do we actually do marketing stuff? How do I build a team, right? Because I could go in and do it myself, and I have done things obviously, but it's really kind of been like a challenge for a couple of years now of building that marketing team. And the reality is, right now we still have 0 people in marketing on our team and 0 people in sales. So we're still sort of figuring this stuff out. It's been a learning process. But that's much more on the team side, right? It's you know, that was sort of the next step that I needed to learn.
Yes, exactly. And so many of the people that you talk to and work with through Simplero and that I work with aren't maybe quite there yet anyway. And they're at that place of needing to embrace marketing, or maybe feeling some of that love-hate relationship thing going on, or trying to find their voice or their approach that feels good to them. And so I think it's just really powerful to have them hear your story that same way.
Thank you.
I even want to read part of this. You know, you wrote, marketing is everything we do in business. It's what we do. It's how we do it. It's why we do it. It's who we are while we're doing it. And it's who we're doing it for. Marketing matters. And that's to what you were talking about. In a way, when you're building your product and making as good as you possibly can, and when you're serving your customers as good as you possibly can, that's marketing too. And when you're, you know, teaching authentically and telling the truth, that's marketing too. And so this particular email was leading into one of your marketing kind of classes that you did along the way. Is there a nugget from those kinds of things that you could share here?
I'm getting a lot of scratching noises. I don't know where that's coming from. It's weird. But yeah. All right. So it went away now. Sorry.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah. I think so. What I was trying to do there was basically taking everything that I've learned about marketing. So, you know, you do a course there and a training there and a book there and this person there and this idea here. And I was like, this is kind of my approach to life, is like, I like to synthesize all of that information and distill it down to like what's a framework where all these pieces fit into, right? Which is a hard problem to solve, and it kind of gets pretty big. And then I was like, let me just live stream myself trying to figure this out. It worked and it didn't work, right? So, but it was super helpful for me to start to wrap my head around like what is kind of the big picture of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm much more focused on what are the specific, like, we don't have a lead magnet, right? Let's put together a lead magnet, right? So like some of that like really nitty gritty stuff that we're just not doing.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. That's such a core thing again that I work with folks on. And what you have been really good at consistently for as long as I've been around is your weekly email communications, which are great. And
Thank you.
that's one vehicle that you use. And my version of synthesizing as much of those pieces as I can is my water park analogy, which you may or may not remember or be familiar with. Um, so you'll have to look at that later. Sorry, that's not what we're talking about today. But the water park involves what I call catalyst content are your water park rides, and nurturing content is your lazy river. I'll send you the video afterwards.
All
Anyway,
right.
but I think when you try to synthesize all of this and figure out what works, it is really helpful to just pick, because you've managed to grow pretty tremendously without trying to do everything, and I think that sometimes people feel like they have to be doing everything and be everywhere, and that's not necessarily true. But there is one, so I'll pull out this one that you sent out recently as well about email marketing. That's another element of the marketing pie puzzle that people have that love-hate relationship with, right? Do we still like emails? We have this relationship with our own inbox. Do we, we don't want to be those types of companies that we just feel overwhelmed by or manipulated by, or like whatever you were saying. But email is still such a powerful tool, especially if you use it well. So give me your take on email marketing right now.
Email marketing is still great, right? The main thing is you own the list and you can control it. You can control how often when you hit people's inboxes, right? There's no algorithm there that decides whether any particular message is gonna reach people or not. There's a little bit, right? There's the whole like it's interesting, right? Because in the email, this is a sidetrack, but like since now email has become really centralized around Gmail and Hotmail / Outlook / Live, whatever, MSN, whatnot. Like there's a few providers, so now actually they have a lot of clout, which didn't used to be that way.
Sure.
But overall, yeah, it's your list. You can take it from one system to another, right? They can't deplatform you or cancel you or any of that stuff. And you can really control like when you send email and how you do it. And you can track what people are doing and then direct them down different customer journeys based on that. So super duper powerful. Like it has to be part of your repertoire to still work with email for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I want to talk about one more thing before we get into a little bit more about Simplero, and that is growth, just growth. You wrote something around this, and I talk about it all the time, is that as you try to grow your business, you also have to grow as a person, I'm paraphrasing, but who you need to be to have a 6-figure business or a 7-figure business or whatever is a different person than who you are when you're first starting out. And I think that's such a powerful thing. Can you talk about that and talk about it a little bit for yourself and how you are growing and having that journey?
Yeah, 100%. 100%, right?
Right.
And I think it's whenever I look back at the things that I was struggling with and that I have now, I can see how I wasn't ready back then, right? I wasn't the person that I needed to become. Something happened just yesterday and today that illustrated this for me. So I've been working with my personal brand manager, Jay. He's sitting in the other room watching the live stream right now over lunch. And we've been working together for almost a year on building my social media, my Instagram and my Twitter and my other social media platforms. And yesterday we realized that in order to grow on Instagram, you have like the best strategy is shout outs. So getting other Instagram accounts to mention yours. Like organic is dead. You can pay. We've been doing some boosting and paid for follower growth, but really the thing that's moving the needle is shout out. So then we're like, okay, let's start DMing some people and see if we can find someone who can help with that. And we found this one guy who's like incredible. Like literally, like within 2 minutes, we get a reply from this one guy. I jump on a call with him. Talk for half an hour, super legit, super cool dude, and hire him to grow my Instagram following by 25,000 followers for $10,000, which is, from what I can tell, a pretty good deal.
Nice.
And immediately, so since we did that yesterday, I was at 1,700 followers. By now, I'm over 4,000 followers. Like it hasn't even been 24 hours. Like
wow.
And here's where this comes back to what we were talking about is I noticed that, holy crap, like this guy can help us get to 25K to 100K to 500K to a million if we want to keep working with him. The way that I need to show up now on Instagram, like with a 25K following, versus having around 1,000, maybe 1,700, which I had before. I'm like, I have to think a little bit differently in how I show up. I'm not talking about censoring myself. I'm just talking about like I need to up a level a little bit here, right? And it's that again, like who do I need to become? Who is that version of me that has 1 million Instagram followers and has a brand of that size, right? Again, not to make everything about vanity metrics like followers, et cetera, et cetera. However, right, that's the simplest metric that we have. Sure. And yeah, it's like, it's a different version of me, right? What possibilities open up and how do I respond to those opportunities? How do I show up in that world?
That's
much
right.
more public.
It's interesting, I'll share a personal one too, because I just very recently signed on my first biggest digital marketing contract for paid digital advertising, basically, which I have not done. I've been mostly organic and word of mouth and things like that, the way you were early on in your business. And so I'm in the same boat, right? What does that next phase look like if there's, driving traffic 10 times the amount of traffic than what I'm used to getting? And how do I live up to that? So I totally get it. And at the same time, people who are hearing this, the question is, where are you now so that you can show up where you are now and then look for those growth opportunities, that next step of what you can do to become bigger and then who you need to become in order to continue walking that path. I just love it. So talking about growth, Simplero also constantly is growing and changing. So every time I log into my Simplero account, there's this little screen that pops up that says, here's what's new and better and updated, woohoo. And so I know you guys are constantly working on things. What is the next thing, if you can share, where is Simplero headed and what's going on?
Yes, I can. Let me say it this way. So we've never had a product organization. Again, like this whole thing is a journey for me as a leader, right? I'm someone who I got into programming and computers because I was scared of people. People would say nasty things and I would feel nasty feelings, and computers were much more safe, right? And for many, many years, my approach whenever there was a problem of any kind, like even in my marriage, for example, more code more, code faster. That was the only hammer I knew, right? So, and I was stuck in that world of being the guy behind the keyboard writing the code for like a long time, and so. And for me, that journey of figuring out how to build a team, how to build an organization, how to build like a real company and real business, that's been my growth edge for a little bit now.
Yeah.
And in that vein too, I was the programmer, I was the user, I was the customer support person, I was the designer, I was the like everything, right? And so realizing, that's not how other people function. They have specialties. So you have engineers and they're great engineers, way better than I am. and they enjoy it way more than I do, but they can't figure out what the thing should be, right? They can't, like, all these other pieces. So the reason I'm sharing that is because, right, we don't at Simplero, we don't have a product we have an engineering team, but we've never had product. And product is the function that figures out what needs to be built for whom, and how do we monetize, how do we market it, how do we, all of those things, right? So not how do we market it, but who is it for and what are they willing to pay for it, kind of stuff.
Sure.
And so we haven't had that at all until now. We're hiring for a product manager full time, as well as I hired a consultant. This is something that I started doing is instead of just going straight to hire a consultant who can help me build up the processes, the playbooks, the team, help me vet candidates and just set that candidate up for success. So I'm doing that. So we have the consultant working right now. I'm interviewing product managers as fast as I can. We got a recruiter. This is the first time we've used a recruiter. They're finding candidates for us. It's looking really nice. So we'll see, right? Like, we'll see what we end up doing, what new things that happen. I'll tell you, like, top requested feature or function is a mobile app for your devices where people can go consume their courses. So that's definitely something that we are, like, I'm very interested in. I'd love to have that. Another super highly requested thing is the ability to schedule appointments right within the app. A lot of people have this hybrid. They're doing services, things that need to be scheduled as well as doing courses. So that is also something that we're looking at. The main thing is we want to just get a lot better at product. We've done a lot of features where it's like the functionality is there, but there's kind of like missing some bits and pieces around the edges that just make it flow really nicely and smoothly. So we want to up level that up like several notches. So that's our focus.
So cool. It's just fun for me to watch. And I'll tell you, that's why I think I signed on at the beginning. And it's why I've stayed, because, Simplero, when I first signed on, was actually quite different. And it's the fact that it does continue to evolve and expand and get better and better all the time. It's fantastic to be part of that. And it feels like a community. Like you said, people are telling you what they want and what they need and what would be helpful, and you guys are responding to that. So I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So cool.
And my goal is we're reinvesting all of the profits that we make right back into the company to hire more and keep the company growing. I was talking to my accountant the other day, and I was like, yeah, you have all this like money sitting there that you've already paid the taxes on. You can just take it out, but you never take any money out. I'm like, no, I'm looking to build this thing. And the more that I can, I want to invest in really building. Yeah, I'd love to have we have 4 engineers now. I'd love to have 40 engineers. I'd love to have 10 product managers and UX designers and UI designers and all these people, and like 20 marketers or whatnot, right? Like, just really build a massive team and have the resources to really invest in the product, in the training and the support and the service and all the things, right? So the way this business works, right, is the more customers we have, the more we can invest in the product, the more we can spread that cost of R&D in over more people and make the whole thing better. So that's the game here. And we just had last week, our number one competitor, Kajabi, announced that they had raised $550 million, which is a lot of money. So that's crazy. But I mean, we have a really, really dedicated, fanatical, passionate community of customers. So
for sure,
it doesn't worry me. It inspires me to see, like, oh my God, there's really a lot of growth potential in this market. So I'm like, let's really tap into this and make some real damage here in the most positive sense of the word.
Yes, absolutely. And so I put this up. I created a short link, bit.ly /CCC Simplero. That's my link, that because I am a fan and an affiliate and whatever, if people want to check it out. I think there's a link also in the description of this video. So definitely check it out. We haven't talked about features and, all the little amazing things that Simplero can do, but that's not necessarily the topic of this live stream, go check it out. It's all on there. And so last but not least, hearing you talk about your vision just now of what you want to create and having that be the role of an entrepreneur, right? Is not just being behind the computer, doing the code or building the course or creating a thing or working with the people, but having that vision of what do I want this to be? What impact do I want to make? And that's the last one that I saved that you wrote. It's about potential and possibility. The potential out there is really quite limitless. It's up to you and what you want. What's possible for you in your business, in your relationships, in your health, in your creativity, in your happiness and joy, in your fulfillment and passion. What could you go for if you didn't play small? What would you go for if you believed in yourself? So, not to read your words to you, but I thought that was really beautiful. Do you want to say one last thing to anybody out there?
Yeah, I think it really is like we have so much more in us than we give ourselves credit for, than we think that we do. And we grow up, most of us, learning to not trust ourselves, to not believe in ourselves, to not believe that we're better than others, or we're special, or we have something to offer. And we really do. I really believe that every single one of us do. And when you make those mind shifts where you go from like here to up here, it really is mind blowing. The world opens up in a way that's just so amazing. So I think realize that that's possible and look for it, right? Because I think that's really the natural thing, is for our minds to be opening and expanding, but we're so trained in holding it down, like, no, that's not possible. Like, no, I can't do that. No, that's silly. No, right. No. Instead, like, yes, or maybe, or what if, or, imagine, right?
Yeah.
And I've really been digging into the vision side of things. I love that you mentioned that. There's a book called Vivid Vision that I've read and realized, for me, like, my role is to really set the vision and communicate it really, really clearly. Like, having the vision is easy. The communicating the vision, I forget to do all the time. And then I need to make sure that through that vision, attract the right people who are as passionate, excited about that vision as I am, and then get out of their way and just make sure we never run out of cash. And that's my job.
And do you like your new job? Do you like what you've evolved into? Yeah.
I love it. I love every second of it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's the best in the world. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you wouldn't have known. Here's the thing, Ted, no matter where you are watching this right now, you probably, as much as you have the vision that you have right now, can't even imagine where it might land 5 years, 10 years, how long, Calvin? 12 years down the road, right? So I always want that for people. And in my world, part of that path of growth is creating content and sharing. That's your marketing, that's your messaging, but having a platform like Simplero on which to do all of it. So that's why we're having this conversation. Calvin, thank you so much for taking the time today and doing this with us, and for being on the podcast. So again, check out Content Creation Coach podcast on your favorite platform, and you'll find Calvin's episode among others. And I just want to say thanks to everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Here we go.